everyone, welcome back to my channel World of Vishali. Hope you all are doing well and safe. My today blog is about how to fill the initial application form called NTAGS formula for getting a residence permit in Germany. If you are applying for a blue card or any kind of a resident permit, it is essential to fill out this application form as a first step. So just to mention you, in my case, I got this application form from the Labor Migration Foreign Office Cologne when I wanted to apply for a blue card. So I would suggest you to double check with them if this form is still same for you or different depending on a different situation or different kind of a permit. The form that I'm talking about, you can find it from the Foreign Office or you can search it on Google by typing this. I will provide detailed explanation for each required field in the form based on my personal experience. So again, I'm not a consultant, I'm not an advisor, but everything is based on my experience when I applied and how did I feel. So this will include insights into how I completed the application form, which was subsequently accepted by the Foreign Office for the processing of my blue card. When I filled out this form, I found it really a bit tricky because some of the fields are really confusing what to fill. So I could not find any examples that time online to help me out, but don't worry, in today's blog I will walk you through it in simple terms so you can fill it out easily without any problems, without any hassle. So quickly, let me share a screen with you to walk you through each step of the form and explain exactly what to fill in. So let's start it. So this is the application form and you can find it online by typing this, and this application form is available in a different languages, and the languages which are available are written over here and here as well, like Deutsch, English and so on. So when you start filling this form, on the top you can see that this field you have to keep it empty. This is the entry note that you don't need to fill it. And when you scroll it down, then you can see that they are asking for a purpose of residence. So here you have to mark the purpose of residence, for what purpose you came Germany. The first is education or training, and the second is the gainful employment, humanitarian or politic grounds and reasons, and then is the family reasons, the return, former German, and so on. So whatever the option is applicable to you, you can mark it out. So for example, if I take example of my blue card, when I wanted to apply for a blue card, then it was like I got a job and I had an employment offer. So I marked this option, the gainful employment, and here they are asking for an entry into a federal territory. So on which date you entered into a Germany, so you have to mention the date. And then they are asking like with the visa of the mission abroad, if you came with a visa, then you have to mark it and you have to mention the period of validity, from which date to which date the visa is valid. So you can fill this option over here. And then here they are asking for a family name, that is last name, and then is your, if applicable, birth name. So this is like not mandatory but optional. So if you have a different birth name, then you can fill it out here. And then is the first name, your date of birth, and your place of birth. So make sure you fill this place of birth based on your passport. So whatever is mentioned on your passport, you can write it down here. And then they're asking for your personal details, like are you female or male, or what is your height, what is your eye color. These two fields are very mandatory, because when you get a resident permit, then they will write your height and they will write your eye color for the identification. And then they are asking for your citizenship. So what is your current citizenship? For in my case it was Indian, so I wrote Indian. Former is like before Indian. If it was like something else, then you can write the former citizenship. And then they are asking for a marital status. Are you single, married, living apart, divorced, widowed? So whatever is applicable, you can mark it here. And if you are married, if you are divorced, so since when, so you can mention the date over here. Next they are asking for the spouse details. So here you can mention the name or the family name, that is last name of your spouse, and then the birth name if it is different, and then the first name, the date of birth, like all the same personal details of your spouse that you have filled above about yourself. And then is the place of birth according to the passport, what's the place of birth of your spouse, and the citizenship, former citizenship. And the 13th field is about the last place of resident in country of origin. So for example, now you came to Germany, you are applying for the resident permit, so from which place you came, so you have to mention the address. So if it is a hometown in your country, you can mention the address. And is currently retained, if yes, then you can mark yes, otherwise no. And then next they are asking about the family name of the children. So if you have a children like 1 2 3, if only one, then you can fill the details of a children. Again they are asking the person details of your children. they are asking for the family name of a applicant father. So here you need to fill out the father details, the last name of father. If the birth name is different, then you can write it here, and then the first name. And in the 16th field, they are asking for the mother details, so mother's family name, mother's first name. And in the 17th, they are asking for a identity paper, so for your identification. It could be a passport or a travel document. So passport is like a best option. Then you can say that it's an ordinary passport. If the designation of the passport is different, then you can write it. In my case, it was like ordinary passport. And then in which country it was issued, the serial number is the passport number, the date of issue, whatever the date of issue is mentioned in your passport, you can write it here, and it is valid until which date. And then they are asking, is it registered with father, registered with mother? If yes, then you can mark it down. If no, then you can skip that. And next, they are asking for a return authorization. So if you will go back, then where would you return? So it will be like your own country, wherever you will go. So in my case, if I want to go back, then it would be India. So they are saying valid until, I don't know, like when I will be going back. So I just kept it empty in my case. If you have a contract, for example, of 1 year, and you know you are going back, then you can mention the date. Otherwise, it's not that important. And then they are asking for a previous address. So on the top, they ask for the address, like from which address you came, but now here they are asking for a previous addresses. In my case, it was like multiple, like I was in Thailand for 2 years, and before that I was in India, and I stayed in a different cities of India. So I feel like 2 to 3 addresses. So if it is applicable in your case as well, then you can give the details of all the previous addresses over here, and you were there from which date to which date. And then they are asking about the intended place of residence in the federal territory, so where you are going to stay. So if you have an address of a Germany, for example, if you have already moved in and you have an address and rental agreement, then you can mention the address over here. And then you can say you have already moved, and here like you have to mention the date from which date you have moved to this address. So next, they are asking like, are family members entering with the applicant or entering afterwards? So if anyone is entering with you or afterwards, then according to that, then you can fill this. If no, then you can mark it no, otherwise yes. And they are asking for, is your subsistence is insured? For example, if you got a job, then you can mark it yes, and what's the amount of income that you will be getting. And there is like, from the gainful employment, from which company, here you can mention the company name. And then they are saying that you or a dependent person receive social welfare benefits. If it is applicable to you, then yes, otherwise no. In my case, it was no. And then they're asking for a health insurance coverage, which is very very important. So when you came to Germany, within a week you have to get the health insurance. So there are other steps also, that the link that you can find in my description box, and check that what are that requirements. So definitely when you will be applying for this, you will be having a health insurance coverage. So you have to mark yes, and then you can give the details of a health insurance company, like which company it is and what is the address. And then they are asking for a economic activity or employment. If you have any vocational qualification, intended economic activity, if it is applicable, then you can write it down. And then they are asking for studies detail with regard to taking up a course of study or training, like in which field of study are you going to take up a training. So all the detail that you can mention. This is for the student, but not for the one that who is going to apply for a blue card. And then in the 26th, they are asking name and address of the employer, or if it is a relative or other related individual. Like I mentioned, this form could be applicable for a different kind of a resident permit. So if I'm applying for a blue card, then definitely I need to give a details of an employer. Or maybe if something else, like a job seeker, for example, or any kind of a visa where like the relative details like are like important, then you can give the relative details. So it all depends on a different situation and different kind of a condition for which purpose you are applying for this resident card. So according to that, you can give the details. And then 27, they're asking, how will you be accommodated? Is it like an apartment, is it like a shared room, or what? If it is apartment, you can say apartment. Group accommodation is kind of on a sharing basis, then you can mark it here. Then they're asking for a, do you have a knowledge of a German language? If yes, then you can mark it here, and acquired through, so you can give the details here. If no, then just simply mark no. And here they are asking for an intended integration effort. If something is through the participation in Orange course, if this is applicable to you, then give the details, otherwise you can skip it out. And then they are asking for a criminal records. Criminal records, if you have, then yes. If no, then no. Then you can give the further detail if it is applicable. On the and then 31st, they are asking for ongoing judicial inquiries. If something is going on, then you can mention here. So be honest, I would say. Give the accurate details. If you give inaccurate details or incomplete information, then it will be proceed with the rejection of your permit, or maybe they can ask you to go back to your country. So make sure, be honest, and give all the details accurately. And then asking for a, have you ever been expelled, removed, or deported? If no, then definitely it's like no. And then they are giving the declaration. So here you have to mark it mandatory. The first, they are saying that I do not endeavor the free democratic basic order to the security of Federal Republic of Germany. I do not belong or have any belong to organization. So just read it out. It's a long paragraph, and then you have to mark this all. So it's kind of a declaration. And then here you have to paste the photograph. And then further, here I can explain based on the blue card. So I apply for a resident permit for 4 years. So if you have a contract of a 1 year, then you can say 1 year. But if you don't have a contract which is limited to the 1 year, and you don't know like when you leave that job, so it's like for a lifetime, then minimum you can write that 3 or 4 years. So here you can mention by yourself 3 to 4 years, but like final approval is up to them for how many years they will be going to give you this blue card. And they are asking for a street and the house number. This is like all the based on the current address, the postal code, and then the location. And then here is the location, the place, and then the date, and here it's your sign. The last page is saying about all the documents. So when you send an email to the foreign office that I want to apply for this kind of resident permit and what documents you need, they will tell you. But here so many documents are mentioned, so whatever they have asked, you can mark it out, and whatever is not mentioned here, you can write it over here. And then this is all the details that you don't need to fill it out in the last page from 7th and to the 8th. This will be filled by them, so you just have to keep it blank. All the details are not mandatory, and they have not mentioned that like all the fields are mandatory. So don't worry, give all the information accurately as per your knowledge, and hope so you understood exactly what to fill in each and every field. Yeah, that's all. Hope so this blog was helpful for you, and now you can fill this form easily. And if you have any doubt or any question, please comment in the comment box, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So see you soon with another blog. Until then, good luck, bye bye, and take care.